There has been 5 epochal revelations on this planet. The first 4 of them were living beings. The 5th is a book. It is called the Urantia Book. So keep in mind, for the whole history of humanity, there's only been 5 of these epochal revelations. The first one was Caligastia, the planetary prince. I think it was like 500,000 years ago. Then there was Adam and Eve, who weren't the first humans, but the material sons and daughters, the uplifters who were supposed to leave behind DNA that was more receptive to spirituality. That was, I don't know, 100,000 years ago or something like that. And that is that the reason that we have our pyramids, that we have our stories of ancient aliens, this some sort of advanced step that humanity took, was because that this DNA went into the bloodstream of the humans. And the book details it. I'm just kind of glancing it over right now, just to say that that is the 3rd epochal revelation. Adam and Eve, again, living beings who were to help the humans. They also defaulted. The first one and the second one defaulted. And this put the world into chaos and confusion, darkness, their failure and their mission. But then we had the 3rd epochal revelation, which was Machiventa Melchizedek. And Melchizedek came, again, as a being of the times in order to relight that lamp of truth on the planet. The 4th epochal revelation, Jesus of Nazareth. And we know very intimately what his life is, especially because it's detailed in about 750 pages or so in the Urantia Book. Unbelievable detail. And then the 5th, the Urantia Book itself, because now we have the printing press. It's just much more efficient to have it be in this book form in this day and age, rather than have a being who the lecture can get lost or whatever. People probably wouldn't even believe it. People would reject it anyways. So it would be kind of a waste of time for this being to go around and everybody reject. I mean, look what they did to the Jesus. Anyways, Machiventa Melchizedek succeeded. Jesus of Nazareth succeeded. But let's learn more about this incarnation, this 4th epochal / 3rd epochal revelation. This is on page 1114. Please like and subscribe. We're getting the community going here, so I appreciate everybody who's participating. Let me know if you have any questions or topics that you want to cover. The Melchizedeks are widely known as emergency sons, for they engage in an amazing range of activities on the worlds of a local universe. When any extraordinary problem arises, or when something unusual is to be attempted, it is quite often a Melchizedek who accepts the assignment. The ability of the Melchizedek sons to function in emergencies and on widely divergent levels of the universe, even on the physical level of personality manifestation, is peculiar to their order. Only life carriers share to any degree this metamorphic range of personality function. So angels aren't doing this. Any of them are like Melchizedeks have this rare ability. The Melchizedek order of universe sonship has been exceedingly active on Urantia, being the name of our planet. A core of 12 served in conjunction with the life carriers. This is at the dawn of life on the planet. Single-celled organisms that they were putting, kicking off the evolutionary ball here. A later core of 12 became receivers for your world shortly after the Caligastia secession. So Caligastia, remember, that was the failed planetary prince who went into rebellion, precipitated worldwide chaos. And so the Melchizedeks knew that they needed to step in. But when they did that, they didn't incarnate on the planet as beings that people could see. We're still working here on spiritual levels. And continue in authority until the time of Adam and Eve, who did step on the planet as material beings that we could see. These 12 Melchizedeks returned to Urantia upon the default of Adam and Eve. Okay, so they're like, oh, we got to go back in. We got another mess on our hands. Adam and Eve failed. And they continued thereafter as planetary receivers. I say failed, but maybe more like did not succeed, because they did leave behind a lot of this uplifted spiritual DNA. And, hence the stories about being able to build the pyramids. Imhotep was one of the architects who had this advanced, lineage. On down to a day when Jesus of Nazareth, as Son of Man, became the titular planetary prince of Urantia. So this title of planetary prince had to be changed and enhanced when Caligastia lost it through his insidious revolt. The Machiventa incarnation. Revealed truth was threatened with extinction during the millenniums which followed the miscarriage of the Adamic mission on Urantia. And it's also being threatened this day and age, folks. That is why, hence the book. Though making progress intellectually, the human races were slowly losing ground spiritually. Very true to this day and age. We got over an abundance of ideas here on the planet, but we are poverty-stricken when it comes to ideals, and that is your spirituality. About 3000 BC, the concept of God had grown very hazy in the minds of men. It also could say, in 2024 AD, the concept of God had grown very hazy in the minds, okay? People have, not all, okay, but it's hazy. It's not the world system to have an understanding of God. The world system is money, greed, capitalism, that sort of stuff. That's the world system of things that we live in. If you have some sort of, religion and that sort of stuff, it's either piecemeal or conflicting. Everybody's got their own. There's no solid concept of God, and that's what the book is supposed to do, and that's what Melchizedek. The 12 Melchizedek receivers knew of Michael's impending bestowal on their planet. Michael is your Jesus of Nazareth. That's the order of Michael, your creator son of the local universe. So they knew that Jesus of Nazareth was doing a bestowal here, but they did not know how soon it would occur. Therefore, they convened in solemn council and petitioned the Most High's of Urantia. This is like universe organization, administration, that some provision be made for maintaining the light of truth on Urantia. See, it's about to be, if it gets extinguished, that's a really, that's a big event. If the beings aren't believing in God, they can really resort back to primitive times very, very quickly without that. So they made this plea, was dismissed with the mandate that the conduct affairs on 606 of Satania, Satania is the name of I believe it's the system of inhabited worlds. Again, it's groupings of inhabited worlds. Our planet is number 606 in this grouping of inhabited worlds, is fully in the hands of Melchizedek custodians. So they said, okay, you guys just do what you're going to do. You got this. The receivers then appealed to the Father Melchizedek for help, but only received word that they should continue to uphold truth in the manner of their own election. So he's again saying, you just do what you have to do until the arrival of the bestowal son. They say, whatever you feel. They're like, hey, can we get a little bit of help? You guys got it. Whatever you feel. You do whatever you feel. Who would rescue the planetary titles from forfeiture and uncertainty. Okay, so they're saying, the local universe son is gonna choose that planet, the darkest one in the universe, in order to incarnate. So, do what you need to until that time. And it was in consequence of having been thrown so completely on their own resources that Machiventa Melchizedek, a member of this order of group, Melchizedek being an order of beings, one of the 12 planetary receivers, volunteered to do that which had been done only 6 times in all the history of Nebadon, and that's on various other planets, to personalize on Earth as a temporary man of the realm, to bestow himself as an emergency son of world ministry. Permission was granted from this adventure by the Solvington authorities, and the actual incarnation of Machiventa Melchizedek was consummated near what was to become the city of Salem in Palestine. So this entire transaction of the materialization of the Melchizedek son was completed by the planetary receivers with the cooperation of the life carriers, certain master physical controllers. See, they needed to give this guy a body, a physical body, so that all these people could see him. and other celestial personalities resident on Urantia. So it was different than Jesus, who was born of a human couple, okay? Through the regular way that human beings are born, which is mating, sex mating. It doesn't need to be a divine birth or anything like that. It's just how everybody came into the planet, you know? Our parents had animal sex in the heat of passion. And but he was coming as a fully grown. He didn't, Jesus was to be more kind of closer to the experience that we have, being born as a helpless babe and that sort of stuff. But Melchizedek just, skip that part. We just got to get in there and get this revealed. It was 1,973 years before the birth of Jesus that Machiventa. See, Melchizedeks are taught about in the Bible. I don't know exactly what they say, but I know that that is a theme in the Bible. Was bestowed upon the human races of Urantia. His coming was unspectacular. His materialization was not witnessed by human eyes. He was first observed by mortal man on that eventful day when he entered the tent of Amdon, a Chaldean herder of Sumerian extraction. This is interesting to note, this 1,973 years before. Remember, they went to the head of their order, the father Melchizedek, and said, what should we do? And he basically said, just hang out for 1,973 years. It just goes to show you what time means to them. He's saying, just go hang out until Jesus comes. When the herder had recovered from his astonishment, and after he had plied the stranger with many... wait, I missed this part. And the proclamation of his mission was embodied in the simple statement which he made to this shepherd. I am Melchizedek, priest of El Elyon, the Most High, the one and only God. So right there, he started off his mission of reminding everybody on the planet that there is one God. It's literally like monotheism was their main sort of mission here, because it gets all scattered and confused, and this guy's worshiping a fucking rock, and this guy's worshiping who the hell knows what, When the herder had recovered from his astonishment, and after he had plied the stranger with many questions, he asked Melchizedek to sup with him. And this was the first time in his long universe career that Machiventa had partaken of material food, the nourishment which was to sustain him throughout his 94 years of life as a material being. So he wasn't like a magical ghost. And that night, as they talked out under the stars, Melchizedek began his mission of the revelation of truth of the reality of God. See, it's very simple what he was trying to reveal here. Remember, man complicates, God simplifies. So they're just coming down and revealing, bring it back to base here, folks, okay? You guys are going to go off in a million one directions. Don't forget that base. And this is beautiful. With a sweep of his arm, he turned to Amdon, saying, El Elyon the Most High is the divine creator of the stars, of the firmament, and even of this very earth on which we live. And he is also the supreme God of heaven. So a beautiful picture of Melchizedek talking to this very primitive man. We're talking 2000 BC type of mentality. This man doesn't know anything about stars. He doesn't know about biology, physics or anything like this. And he just says with authority that Melchizedek is not talking about his faith here. The authority that is coming from this being is captivating. When he says that, the being, this Amdon is captivated. I understand that I am receiving truth. Within a few years, Melchizedek had gathered around himself a group of pupils, disciples, and believers who formed the nucleus of the later community of Salem. He was soon known throughout Palestine as the priest of El Elyon. So remember, he claimed that he was the priest of God. He didn't come here and saying, I am God. The Most High and the sage of Salem. Among some of the surrounding tribes, he was often referred to as the Sheikh, the king of Salem. And Salem was the site which, after the disappearance of Melchizedek, became the city of Jebus, subsequently being called Jerusalem. So he put the nucleus of his teaching mission here, so that would be the most, profoundly readied place. However, the mission did he had his ministers and things spread this word throughout all of the world. In personal appearance, highly successful, the Melchizedek mission, unlike the first two revelations. In personal appearance, Melchizedek resembled the blended, but again, it was a very difficult time and task. Even though he was successful, it didn't change the world because he was up against it, just like we are in our own daily lives. We're literally up against it. We're born into a system that is rigged against us purposely, literally, to keep us from finding God. So it just takes a long time in order for this sort of rebellion. For us, it appears like a long time, but for them, it's a blink of the eye that these rebellions unwind, and we start to get back on track here of being united under one God and brother and sisterhood of all. Melchizedek resembled the blended Nodite and Sumerian peoples, being almost 6 feet in height and possessing a commanding presence. He spoke Chaldean and a half a dozen other languages. Remember, we're to have one language now so that we can communicate with each other. And he dressed much as did the Canaanite priest, except that on his breast he wore an emblem of 3 concentric circles, the Satanius symbol of the Paradise Trinity. In the course of his ministry, the insignia of 3 concentric circles became regarded as so sacred by his followers that they never dared to use it, and it was soon forgotten with the passing of a few generations. So that's where the Urantia book gets this insignia from, these 3 blue circles. And so, Trinity here, but 3 being 1. And it's just a symbol, folks, okay? And if you like that symbol and if you want to wear that or anything like that, then go for it. And you should. If that reminds you of something powerful, then that's, but don't forget, remember, these things are only symbols. They're symbolizing of something. And what is that something? It is the Trinity. It is God. So that is within you. It's much more important than these 3 blue circles, is the fact that you have that within you. But if it's like wearing a string around your finger to remind you, to say, oh, okay, I'm wearing this thing because every time I think of it, I think of God, and that God is really within me. So that way we don't go down the rabbit hole of talismans having power. We're remembering that that power is actually within us, not within this particular arrangement of pigment on this paper or anything like that. But if you like it and it's important to you, then, we're free to engage in all those things. Crystals was a big thing for me. And I know that they do have some sort of like resonance, they use them in various applications, watches or whatever. But there's not like magical beings inside of them, or there's not, they're just antennas basically. So, but unfortunately, people go so down that rabbit hole. How many books are written about crystals? 1,001. And it's so easy because they're beautiful, appealing things. And, but if we start to assign spiritual powers to these things, then we're missing the fact of our relationship with God as the important thing, not your relationship with a crystal. So that's just a little bit about that. But again, do what you have to do. I'm not condemning anything or anybody, but I'm just saying, take it further in all the way within, seek within. Though Machiventa lived after the manner of the men of his realm, he never married, nor could he have left offspring on earth. His physical body, while resembling that of the human male, was in reality on the order of those especially constructed bodies used by 100 materialized members of Prince Caligassia's staff, except that it did not carry the life plasm of any human race. Nor was there available on Urantia the tree of life. Had Machiventa remained for any long period on Earth, his physical mechanisms would have gradually deteriorated. As it was, he terminated his bestowal mission in 94 years, long before his material body had begun to disintegrate. So he got in here, he got in and out, 94 years, and then that was it. But it didn't have the regular body. It's an incarnation, folks. not a reincarnation or anything like that. Those beings were incarnated, just like Jesus, just like Caligastia. I don't know if I mentioned that. But there's no reincarnated souls on the planet. None. Everybody's at the same level, which is what we would want. We want to not have somebody have some sort of spiritual birthright that now they can, be the top dog. But they say that Michael is returning many times, so we'll just have to see how that unfolds. The incarnated Melchizedek received a thought adjuster who indwelt his superhuman personality as the monitor of time and the mentor of the flesh, thus gaining that experience and practical introduction to Urantia problems, always practical, and to the technique of indwelling an incarnated son, which enabled the spirit of the Father to function so valiantly in the human mind of the later Son of God. So his adjuster was the same one that indwelt Jesus. Okay, so got that experience from Melchizedek. Now we have an adjuster, because the spirit is different than the soul. That's their spirit, the adjuster, which is ancient, which does come from God. The soul and your personality originated here in this mortal planet. So if you feel like you're an advanced being, it's because you're tapping into that spirit within you. But remember, we all have that within us. It's not that you're an old soul or anything like that. So it's just much more sobering and practical than going off onto the tangent of who you were and making a list of everybody that you were in your past life. Remember, the past is dead. Reincarnation, that's dead past stuff. Even if you were, what the hell is it doing for you now? We're looking for the eternal now moment. And this is the only thought adjuster who ever functioned in two minds on Urantia. So nobody had no thought adjuster, folks, is doing a second lap here. We're all starting out. But both minds were divine as well as human. So, very different. Okay, different than, now we'll read on because it explains a little more. During the incarnation of flesh, Machiventa was in full contact with his 11 fellows of Corps of Planetary Custodians. They weren't on the planet, but he could contact with the other Melchizedeks. But he could not communicate with other orders of celestial personalities, and normally they could. Aside from the Melchizedek receivers, he had no more contact with superhuman intelligence than a human being. So it's a much different reality than what we are living. And Jesus was closer to our reality because of the fact that he didn't know who he was during his first, I don't know how many years, 10, 15 years or whatever, that he knew he was spiritual, but he just didn't know really what his full title was in the universe and all that sort of thing. Melchizedek came with every single one of his faculties fully intact. And to begin this mission, it was just simply reminding people, hey, form a relationship with God. Don't go off onto a million tangents about all this different stuff. And, you can explore and have fun and do all that type of thing too. It's not a limiting type of thing. It's just reaffirming what your base is, what the truth is, what the light, the one lamp on that house, on the cul-de-sac, the only lamp that's lit up where all the other houses are dark. This is still here, folks. This is our reality. Every single waking moment of our reality, whether or not we're in tune with it or not, but become in tune with it. And that is the life-changing aspect. And that's what he wanted to teach these people. He wasn't here to boast and to be, oh, look at me, and to start all this wealth. And he's just simply here to help, to reveal truth, because truth is power and it is uplifting. So that's Machiventa. Brilliant being. Glad we have an insight into his life, and he's still around. I mean, I believe he was the planetary prince for a long time or whatever. We're gonna find out how all this stuff unfolds here as we continue on. All right, folks, thanks again. Please like and subscribe, and see you.